Hey, I'm Caleb, and welcome to the Spirit Farm podcast. We're going to do it a little bit differently today. I'm going to solve all your political issues. I'm going to let you know exactly how you should think about all things politics because I have the right view. Obviously, I'm going to share that with you. I'm joking. That's not at all the case. But what I do want to do, typically on these podcasts, we interview someone who's interesting, and those episodes are my favorite. They're the best. Our teaching, we have pushed to the membership program. If you haven't visited Spirit Farm, thespiritfarm.com and checked out our membership program, do that now, sign up now. The teachings are all there, weekly guided meditations, workout videos, the whole deal. It's awesome. In this moment, because the convergence of our culture in this political climate, it seems important and everyone's talking about it. I want to just take a few minutes, a very short video, and talk about politics and one position that will change everything. In this culture, we are so tired of politics, but let's talk about it anyway, because everyone's talking about it, even though we don't want to. We're triggered by what's on social media. We're trying to avoid certain people. We don't walk down that side of the road because that person has all the signs in their yard. There's just something from every direction. Propaganda. My kids are they're watching kids shows on YouTube, but even on like kids' YouTube, there's political things that are popping up in terms of advertisements. It's everywhere. And so we're not going to try to convince you to view your political party some way or something. We're not going to try to convince you on any policies. We're just going to talk about one position that if you change this one position, it'll change everything. And it'll lead you toward meaningful peace, that you can have conversations with people and not get all anxious and not get all agitated and aggravated and worked up and avoid the topic of politics when you're with your family or your friends. You won't have to operate that way. You can sit. You can be still, you can be at peace, you can smile when someone disagrees with you. You can fight fair, you can have an engaging conversation, a dialogue even with someone who doesn't see things the same way, even in your own family, it's possible. And we're going to talk about what that one position is in just a few minutes. First, let's back up and look at the whole political thing from a bird's eye view. I like to take big things and make them super simple. So forgive me if this is an oversimplification, but we have a couple of sides of the aisle in terms of our politics in America. First of all, before we even get to the two sides of the aisle, politics as an idea is not something that you can get out of. You can't say, I'm not a political person. I don't subscribe. I'm just not political. I'm not interested. I don't vote. No. Did you take a shower this morning? Did you flick on a light switch and the lights came on? Did you drive on the right side of the road if you're in America? Did you stop at a stop sign and a stoplight and turn right? And did you follow the laws of the traffic laws that govern our transportation? Yes. So you are political. You are dependent on politics. You are dependent on, here's what politics is, how we organize our collective lives, how we live together, and move as much as possible toward harmony in our living together. That's it. That's what politics is. Now, we're on the same page with that we want to make the most of these God-given lives, that we want to enjoy freedom to do what we feel like God has put us on this earth to do, that we want that for our kids. We want to be able to go places and grow places and do things, and we want to be able to have that freedom in our culture. And thankfully, most of us live in the West or live in the U.S., and we enjoy a lot of those freedoms. We enjoy politics working for us. So we're all on board with politics. You don't get to opt out. Now, how we go about moving toward harmony, how we go about making sure that everyone in the places that we live has food, has water, has electricity, has a place to live, is able to drive and go and move and live and do their life. How we address those issues, that we disagree on. We can have disagreements and have conversations and be on different sides of the issue as it relates to the methodology with which we approach that end goal of living together in harmony collectively as a society. And so on one side of the aisle, there are people who think that the government should be more involved in how that works out, that a bigger government will lend toward things being peaceful in our society. The bigger government is better for us because the government helps things be equitable, helps things be fair, helps things work together more smoothly. That's generally an oversimplification, but that's generally how one camp feels. On the other side of the aisle, on the other side of the equation, people would say, we prefer a smaller government. Let's let the government just do the main things, and let's let capitalism and commerce do the rest of the things, and we'll make lots of money, and that will benefit everybody. That will benefit the people that are having jobs and employers who are employing people. And when we have money in our bank accounts, we can decide to care for the community, the society in a way through our churches, through our charities, and we'll do more of that. So a little bit smaller government, let us meet the needs of people in other ways. And this is a little bit bigger government. Let us be more strategically integrated and involved to make sure that there's more equity. Strengths and weaknesses to both. We can see abuses on both sides. There can be political abuses on the side of bigger government. Anytime the thing is bigger, anytime the thing is more powerful, there's going to be more corruption. It's just part of the thing. Anytime the corporations get bigger and more powerful and have more money, there's going to be corruption. People are going to choose to be selfish. People are going to choose greed. People are not going to be as generous as we hope and think that they should be. Pros and cons on both sides of the equation. Wisdom is in the tension. Wisdom is in the tension. I'm not trying to make everybody moderates here, but I'm saying that wisdom is in the tension of the two sides of whatever the issue is. Being able to move toward the messy middle and have conversations and dialogues, recognizing that our position isn't the ultimate one, isn't the one that God is blessing, isn't the one that this aligns with all things Bible or scripture or faith or whatever. By the way, if you're someone who says, or gets on board with the theology, the theme of vote your faith, I would suggest to you that you're missing the point. There are people of faith on both of these sides. There are people of faith on both sides of almost every issue. And just because you can find a Bible verse that supports the side that you are on, the side that you think is important, the side that you believe aligns with your value system, it doesn't mean that they don't have Bible verses over here too, or over here too. That's why we meet in the messy middle, that wisdom lives in the tension, learning from both sides. Vote your faith, just let's not say that anymore. Let's not talk that way anymore. Faith, if you're a person that follows Jesus, is about death and resurrection. It's not about power and dominance and who's in control and getting what we want. Jesus came to forgive all of humanity and make peace between us and God. Across the board, everyone's trying to figure out what that looks like. Everyone's trying to figure out what it means to love one another. And we disagree about how government should or shouldn't intersect all of that. So we meet in the messy middle, because here's the one position that needs to change. I'm not trying to change anyone's political party, not trying to change anyone's view of any particular policy, just one position. And that is the position that you take on people. Change your position on people. A person is not the enemy. That person who disagrees with you, that person who just lambasted you on social media, that person who just canceled you, that person who just keeps getting in your face and annoying you, that person who's gone silent on you, they're not the enemy. Fear, divisiveness, accusation, condemnation, categories that we put people in, that's the enemy. That's the enemy. That is what divides us. Jesus made that so clear in so many ways. One story that pops to mind is the story of the Good Samaritan. Everyone's heard of it. There's Jews and there's Samaritans. They didn't like each other. Jews had a position that they thought in their minds that they were better than the other. Samaritans had just been so sick of feeling judged and let go that they were rebellious towards the Jews. They just didn't get along. They didn't like each other. But in Jesus' story that he's telling to these wealthy, affluent, powerful Jewish leaders, he makes the Samaritan the hero in the story and completely offends their sensibilities because the Samaritan was a lower class of citizen. They didn't vote the same way. They didn't dress the same way. They didn't practice religion the same way. They didn't do the right things. They were treating them like dogs, like lesser than humanity. And this was so offensive to the Jew, to the leadership, to the religious, elite, that Jesus would say that they were in the position of vulnerability, and the hero of the story that helped them when they were beat up on the side of the road was a Samaritan. It was so offensive, but that's what Jesus was always doing, getting people to break down their barriers, to kill their categories. And it's likely that you have some people in categories that are not serving you. And one day, if you find yourself really in need on the side of the road, metaphorically or literally, you might be surprised at who it is who stops to help. You might be surprised at who it is that comes to the rescue. Let's kill our categories. They're not serving us. They're positioning you against people, either better than or feeling less than, and so you're angry and you're rebelling back at them, and they're just not just, and they're just not fair, or whatever. Not helpful. Let's change our position on people. Let's move toward the messy middle, to conversation, to dialogue, to connection. And we're going to have to work hard because everything in our culture is against us right now. Everything in our culture is pushing toward division, pushing toward categories, isolation, factions, fractions, fracturing us at every turn. Our news feeds, our social media, you are being marketed to constantly. Your social media feeds, Facebook, Instagram, whatever it is giving you the information that they think that you want. They're desiring to make you afraid so that you spend more money. They're desiring to make you angry so that you spend more money on their advertisers. That's the end game. And you are being manipulated. You're being manipulated by your cable news channel. You are. They are telling you a version of the truth that they think that you want to hear, to stoke up fears and critique and criticism and think it's going to be the end of the world if the other side wins. You're being manipulated. Every turn you take and every glance you take and scrolling on social media, they're trying to get your money. And to make you fearful and angry is what works. It's what wins. So we need to know that, see that, open our eyes to that, and reject it, and move toward other people, changing our position on people. So here's the thing. The next encounter you have with a person, online, but hopefully more like in person, on the phone, Zoom, whatever. Lean in. Lean in. Be curious instead of critical. Be compassionate instead of condemning. Make the deliberate choice to kill your categories and just listen to the person's story. Just listen to their perspective, to where it comes from, to the pain that it's birthed out of. Whatever the issue is, whichever direction they're voting, walk down to that neighbor that has all the signs in their yard and have a conversation with them. Don't let that just turn you off and then you put them into a category. Have a conversation. Why are they so passionate about this? Pull up to someone at a stop sign and they have all the flags in their truck, you know the type. I don't get that, but I should have a conversation instead of just judging that person and say, tell me, why is it that you're so passionate about this particular person that you want to vote for? Well, what does that come from? Where is that coming from? Change your position on people. That will change everything. And that will allow you to experience deep and meaningful peace. Peace, which shalom means harmony, connectedness, unity. That's what peace is. That's the peace that God can provide. And that's a God who's not on one side or the other. That's a God who's for people.